It's like Mother Nature flipped a switch. The weather has changed so quickly. Everything is off to a really late start. There's so much to do. All the little things. And the typical absurdities of spring. There are more big projects right around the corner. Beautiful skies here in Ontario, Canada. And though it may be tempting to lay in the hammock and cloud gaze, there's one job that can't be put off. And that is planting the garden. Food insecurity just seems like it's getting worse with each passing year. It feels like it's always never a better time to grow your own food. Between inflation and the supply chain, food is increasingly expensive if you're lucky enough to find it in the supermarket at all. On top of that, we all see the quality of what is available deteriorating rapidly. Here on the homestead, I am lucky enough to have the land and the time to garden. But years like this one make it a little bit harder because everything is off to such a late start. Gardening is already a lot of work. From seeding and planting, weeding, growing, harvesting. Sometimes it feels more like a job than a hobby. So it makes sense to focus on things that are perennial for my grow zone. Trying to find those edibles that will come back year after year without needing to be seeded and planted. Wouldn't it be ideal to have a self-perpetuating garden that can grow itself? Here in Ontario, Canada, I am in Grow Zone 5A, which is a pretty cold zone. Finding those edibles that are able to survive our cold winter to grow back in the spring has been a bit of trial and error. So today I'll share the successes that I have had so far since I started this garden 4 years ago. First of all, I was lucky enough that when I took this place over, there were a lot of fruit plants already here. I have an apple orchard, I have a beautiful plum tree. Raspberries and blackberries that spread like wildfire. I have red currants and gooseberries. These are all cold, hardy fruits that I can actually grow here in Ontario. The first year I came here, I added strawberries, and I'm happy to say that after 4 years, they are finally maturing and really established, and they produce a bounty of fruit every season. I started off with just a handful of plants, and they spread like wildfire. I have them bordered in with these areas of landscape fabric so that they don't take over the entire garden, and it's been working extremely well. Mine are not ever bearing, so I only harvest one crop at the beginning of summer, and we really enjoy them. I've had a lot less luck with vegetables. So far, there's only one plant that will come back after a harsh, cold Canadian winter. Onions. This year, the most exciting thing I added to my perennial garden are these herbs. 2 years ago, I planted a sage, and I found that it grew back from the roots last spring. And it got me thinking what other herbs might come back. So last year I planted a ton in the garden, and this spring I am really excited to see my sage return, my thyme return, and parsley all grew back from root, and my dill reseeded itself. And there's an herbal pantry that I didn't have to seed this year. There's also a small patch of wild oregano that grows over by my stone fireplace. Unfortunately, it's growing up through some interlocking. Otherwise, I would try to transplant it into the garden. I also have this wonderful echinacea plant that I harvest every year for its medicinal tea. And that goes for the flower gardens as well, whether it's bulbs or perennials that will reseed themselves, like these beautiful hollyhocks and this prairie grass. Not having to plant the same thing year after year makes gardening just more enjoyable. It's also more efficient, and it becomes something that I'm just taking care of rather than starting from scratch every single year. My grow zone is really cold, and I suspect that that is one of the biggest challenges and limitations of perennial gardening. So I have to keep researching and experimenting to find the plants that will come back year after year for me. I'm also still discovering edible plants that are already growing here as part of the permaculture, like that wild oregano I found. Even this broadleafed plantain is edible and medicinal, and it grows all over. I also have plants like mullein and goldenrod that I can harvest and make tea from. I love the idea of a garden that grows itself. Plant once, eat forever. That seems like a great strategy in sustainability. And like I said earlier, there's never been a better time to start growing as much of your own food as you possibly can. There's a tiny little feeling of security in it. So before I say goodbye, I want to ask you, are you growing in a cold grow zone like I am? And can you recommend any other perennial vegetables that might make it through the winter here in Canada? The less I have to plant, the more I can experiment, so let me know. Until next time, happy, healthy living. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, staying kind, and getting those gardens in the ground. I'm Katie Kate on the Homestead, and I'll see you later.